Morning, ladies and gents. We've got our best buys for round 25, and there's a few less on the list. Thank goodness this week. More for the fact that there's just so many players that are injured and out and suspended, and all the fun stuff there. So the Who's Hot list is a very low percentage with Adam Dewey up top, with Harry Grant, Reece Walsh, Tino Fa'asuamaleaui, all at 0.5 and above. So you can see there's lots of trades remaining. Big thanks to everyone for jumping in here and still checking it all out. So you're all absolute legends. All right, Harry Grant up top in the hookers, 711k. And if you're looking at a play for more the next 2 weeks, so if you're looking at prelims, if you're looking at your grand finals for head-to-head, that's where he becomes a really, really good play. Outside of that, good chance he rests in round 27. They should be locked up in 1 or 2, and that's where you should lose Harry Grant. So a great pick probably for 2 weeks. The other problem is, do they rest him in round 27? Probably not. Round 26? Probably not. Could and should be round 27. But the last scores are spectacular there. 57, 73, 53, 57, and 71 for Harry with that overtime try. Billy Walters, had to mention him, 366 hooker and half dual, and coming off a really solid game there. On the weekend of 38, did just have the one try assist, a few tackle breaks, the offload in there was all helpful for him. Lack of run meters, lack of kick meters, so you could see there that Ben Hunt definitely took over and he played, third, fourth, fifth fiddle to Reece Walsh and even guys like Tony Staggs, and we saw Payne Haas even ball playing as well. So yeah, that's where you're looking at Walters, under 400k guy that could come in and do okay for you against a couple of solid opponents, and he will play all 3 of these games. So he'll do a job, dual position. That can be helpful. Kurt Donahue, priced at 49 now. Fully expecting him to still hit over 50 each week. He did, unfortunately, miss a fair few tackles in this one, just like he did in round 19. But in that one, he only managed a 45. So, and a try assist as well in that one. The good thing here with him is that there's still a decent amount of run meters. Like, he's up in the 70s, 80s, 90s most weeks. And can get some decent tackle breaks as well in certain weeks. So, if he's going to play the big minutes, which is probably expected, and a pretty nice run to finish, I think he's still a really solid guy to cover hooker and your half position, and just as a good scorer in the mid 600s as like more of a safety play. Now, Tino at 541k is pretty wild, isn't it? Not something you expect him to get that low. And now you saw here at the start of the year, he got all the way up to a 768k price point where he was doing really, really well. And then through Origin, that dropped off a little bit, and then copped the injury and came back with 53 minutes and a concussion, but somehow they put him back on. He ended up with a couple of errors in this one, a couple of missed tackles, so not his perfect game, but the run meters were there. Tackled pretty well in a game where they got beat pretty badly. But the last 3 games, it's Warriors, it's Dolphins, and it's Tigers, so easily could be games where he could score a try. Hasn't happened since round 3, which is pretty crazy. And then when he played last time in 2023, he had a lot more tries there, especially through that middle part of the season. So he has it in him, and that could be on your cards at a 540k price point, is what you're looking at with Tino this week. Patty Carrigan at 680k, so much more expensive and just covers the mid. What we know from him is just hasn't had much of a rest this year. So he's someone that I don't expect him to hit the high 70s, like in the 70s type minutes anytime soon. He already hit the 80 last week when they had the couple of injuries. So if they can do okay over this next few weeks and get some wins up, I probably expect near the 60, 65 max like we saw last week at 61. And in that scenario, like, he's still going to do okay, but he does look a little bit tired. You can see that the last 4 weeks, the meters gained has dropped dramatically. He really didn't hit under 140 for the rest of the year. No, he didn't at all. So that's where he's probably dropped off a little bit in his running, and that's where the offloads and the tackle breaks can be lost there as well. So there are the guys that maybe you could take a bit of a flyer on. You've got Reece Walsh in form. And the mids there aren't a lot, to be honest with you. So he's still a really good pick, but just a few things to think about. Now, Colin Matangi, does he come back and play massive minutes? 5 weeks off the syndesmosis injury. He does have a bye next week as well. So if you're interested in Keon, very high price at $7.29, but we know he can come out and do really, really well as you can see here in his over 65-minute games. Tremendous scores, lots in the 80s and lots in the 60s, and we were even captaining him. Some people were captaining him in certain weeks across that origin period. So you had to mention him, but very expensive. I'm not sure how many minutes he will play. And Jermaine Hopgood at 571, he's still at a really nice price. He's got the dual position. He'll play each of the last 3 games. And the question's going to be, does he stick at 55 minutes? Or does he go back near the 60 mark that he had a few weeks ago? Look, anything 55 and above, 53 and above kind of thing, he should be able to do fine and at least hit his price point and somewhere near that 45 mark, with potential to go a little bit higher like we saw in round 23. So a guy that you can, at the moment, and probably for the rest of the year, rely on for minutes. We saw it was not a case, definitely was not the case. I don't know how it dropped so much. It's still an absolute mystery to me, and it'll be interesting to see if he becomes a buy to start the year next year. He still has managed to score, 45 average, still managed to score really, really well across this season. So he's the fairly safe pick, but when you've got Tino there, which you normally don't have, Hopgood would be a very easy pick, but Tino even cheaper and probably has a little bit more upside. That's where the better pick probably comes. Jack Williams, 611k with the mid and the edge dual. He's priced at 45, and you can see there last week was really good, at 61. Been playing the full 80 minutes. The only time, would he have 10 minutes off? No sin bin in that one, just a penalty. But you can see here lots of mid to high 40s. And then the random game here and there where he goes 60 plus. So he's got 2 60 pluses and a 70 this year. So generally you're looking at consistency from Williams if you wanted to go there as a little bit of a cheaper play. And if you need a mid or edge dual, if you want a straight swap from like Jackson Ford and need the dual, you got him, you got Hopgood, and then you got Tino with the singular mid tag. All right, Huddy Young. This is going to be a really big game. So plays up against Penrith Panthers this year. We should have a look to last year and see how he went against them. Where are they? So picked up 60 against them. You can see there just puts in a lot of work. 130 run meters, 36 tackles. Still going to get his odd offload and tackle breaks. Did have 2 turnover tackles though. So that's the game against the Panthers there. But then he scored a try in round 23 and got a 38. Now I do find it hard to look back at your games in other years for Hudson Young, more for the fact that he is in a position this year where he's just playing so much better than he was in those other years. So when you're looking at Huddy, there is a chance for resting, but like if he can come out and have a really solid outing against Penrith, he hasn't scored a try in a good while as well. Long time, all the way since round 13 for him is a long time. But then it's Tigers, and then yes, there's potential for resting, but there's also, they just come off a bye. Do they rest them in around 27 to then be fresh, like to be ready to go for the prelim, that qualifying? And then if they win that, they get another week off. So it's like, sometimes the players actually prefer to keep it going, but there will be a few of their players, especially I think, Fogarty and these guys, that they'll probably just wrap up in cotton wool. Hudson Young, I'm not sure. But if it's for a head-to-head play, I think in the next 2 games you play, he plays very comfortably and is one of the best scorers. So go nuts. Naf White did and has needed some attacking stats to score well. So you saw here 41, 48, 47. It was a kind of a lean patch before that 69 with the 2 tries. And just tackle numbers have been so low. It's more for the fact that they've been absolutely demoralizing teams there, just putting big scores on them. And you saw here in different games here, he played the massive minutes against the Tigers. It was a very close one. Against the Sharks there, they were getting belted a bit and he had to tackle plenty. So good thing with him is that he's got the running game, can score tries apparently, and then he can defend if they're a team that is struggling. So dual position as well, a fun one. Was last week anyway. Kai Paul I still have as one of the best picks. Come up against the Broncos, and that left-hand side is a little bit decimated, so Jaden Hunt will be there. And Benny? Is Benny playing left? Yeah. Benny or Walters, can't remember, since the last game when they've changed over. But you can see here plenty of upside, 60s, 70s, 80, all the good stuff there. So just pick him. He'll play the rest of the year as well. Crichton, you can still definitely go for him. Looked a little bit more like himself last week. He got 4 offloads, which he hadn't been doing for sort of since we bought him, basically 4 or 5 weeks ago. Offloads were flowing before that. So if that can continue and the Roosters are in a bit of form, he could score a try. he could get involved in that again, some type of attacking stats with the offloads, the tackle breaks. A lot of time that's all he needs. And if there's any attack on top of that, even better. But a good price is 645, and I still would select him now. I think he looked a lot better on the weekend. And then the person that everyone that has trades left is trying to bring in is Adam Dewey at 719k. So since moving back to the half position, he's got 82 and 62 with line breaks, try assists, with tries, and they're playing pretty well as well. So kick meters last week was a little bit down, but it was that type of game. There was more running and less kicking in general. Meters gained are there, so really it's just a tackle that's gone really low since moving back to halfback, which we've seen in other games too, 15 and in that one in round 7. Played 5/8 in round 18 and had 15 tackles. So we're not relying on tackles for him, but we get more running out of him and we get the goals and all the good stuff there. So Dewey, really nice finish to the year. Cowboys, Canberra, and the Titans. Okay, Jai Gray at 418. He's an interesting one, just given where they're at. If it's more just a play on this week and you need someone cheaper, you don't have enough to, you just want to improve your 17, I think that he can really work. Now, the only main problem with them is that they play around game 1, so you could buy him and loop him. He does miss next week, though, so just be aware of that. If you think you're fine for that week, then Jai could do a good job. We know that he has 50s and plenty of 50s in his game. He got another 54 on the weekend. Was a bit low before that, but hasn't scored a try in a long time either, so maybe that comes this week. Has anyone tried mucking around with ChatGPT and using all the AI stuff to help create logos and stuff? I've just been mucking around a little bit this morning. I need some more creative juices. So if any of you guys want to try working something on, you just create a free account, JBFA, something like that. I don't know if you want to muck around with that. That'd be super cool. I've been trying to do it a little bit myself. I'll keep going with it. But if anyone wants to DM me, send me an email. Email's down in the description as well. If you'd like to help, if you like to muck around with it, if you like design, if you any of that kind of stuff, just something free there would be cool. Could take 5 minutes. So if you want to do that, that'd be awesome. I'm going to keep mucking around with it. But yeah, it's been a bit of fun. Just trying to freshen up the logo and do some different things. Looking at maybe doing, a different logo on the hat or a shirt or something like that. So yeah, if you can help out, that'd be awesome. Appreciate you all. Sammy Walker, 625k. He has the solid run there, Parramatta, Melbourne, and Rabbitohs, and he's come back with a bang, doing really, really good work. And really, what we're seeing from him is just the early 50s, or around that 50 mark with, if they smash a team, he can go well. I don't think they'll smash a team this week, but he'll probably end up in that early 50s and priced at 47 with a 625. That's great. Personally, I don't see him having the crazy upside as what some other players have, like Trinky, like Walsh, these types of guys, but yeah, definitely a guy that you can look at. Wishart, one of the better picks of the week, regardless of price. To be honest with you there, I see him as being very, very safe. I see him playing the rest of the year out, regardless of your restings. It'll probably be him and Jonah Pezzett if Hughes is good to go. So if Hughes is good to go come finals time, then I think that they'll play Wishart in round 27. If Hughes is still not good to go, maybe he gets a rest. So that's the kind of worry. But for the next couple of weeks, should be very, very safe. Should play the full 80 if Pap's not there. That's the only slight worry, that if he's not, he may move to the middle a little bit, with Munster being in that starting 6 jersey, and then Pezzett playing 7. Pezzett coming on to play 7 and Wishart moving around. So there's that worry, but I think he's going to be pretty safe. You can see there the 36 is kind of the low for him, just with base stats, and then he has this upside with different attacking stats, and he's really worked out a nice combination with Xavier Coates there. So that's Wishart, a fun one there. Ben Hunt, similar boat. We know he can be a 50s guy, and he got 56 on the weekend with 3 try assists. Kick meters were there. Defense was there, which was nice. And I think he can do it, against the Knights as well, into the Cowboys. It's a fun couple of weeks. Good for head-to-head finals as well. Under 500k, knowing that you can get in the 40s from him. He's just a little more volatile than that of Tyrant Wishart, and 20k more expensive. People looking at Taylor May, 539k, coming off a really, really good week with his 70. He had 19 and 40 before that. So basically when he scores a try or he gets right involved, he's got nice scores in him, which we've seen with the Panthers as well, and a pretty nice run. So it's not the worst option at all. as a bit of a point of difference type guy. But Taylor May, solid overall. Walshy, my buy of the week, I'm probably going to end up with him in my side. 619k. We know that when he gets goals, he can be a much better prospect. And we can't look at the first 7 games because they were awful and he was awful. Since then, his lowest score was the 28 in round 23 against the Storm, but he doesn't have the Storm anymore. Outside of that, 45 and then lots of 50s and the 94 on the weekend with all the goals. And running the footy. A little bit of kicking as well. So since he's come back, that's been the increase in his game as well as that kicking in general play. Running the footy much more vigorously as well. So Newcastle Cowboys, even if it's the next few weeks, they'll be fighting for top 4, top 5, like 5 or 6 home final. He's a really fun pick. He's a volatile one, but yeah, we saw it last week. We know he can do it again, and Newcastle are worse than the Dolphins right now. Brian 523, still a guy that you can look at. Picked up a 47 last week, 57 and 45 the weeks before. If he comes out and he's usually a big game player, so should be able to come out and do really well. Still against the Canberra Raiders, and 523. It's a pretty nice price. So have a look at that yourself with Brian, and if that fits your price bracket, and if you need a wing fullback, then I think he's really solid. And to finish off, guys, Scotty Drink Bloke, 613k. It's really just a play on the next week, potentially 2 weeks, and then he does have the buy in 27. So more of a head-to-head play right now at his price with his upside. Goal kicking again with Laybutt being out of the side or in the bench type of thing anymore these days. So yeah, I still think he's a really solid guy you can have a look at. He looked much better on the weekend than he has, and I think they had a ridiculous amount of errors and he still went solid. So yeah, there's lots of 40, like high 40s, 50s and 60s still in his game, and then the upside of the 100. So a good one to finish it on, guys. Let me know what decisions you're making this week. Are you looping? All that in the comments. I do read them all, even if I can't reply to them all. Thanks so much for doing that. If you want to check out the Chat GPT stuff and have a crack with some logo work, it's pretty interesting. It's cool. You can just quickly download it as well. So pretty fun how AI is changing the game, especially from someone like myself, a non-design type of guy. Yeah, it's gonna be cool. So thanks so much, guys. We'll catch you in the next one.